I'ma keep all the heads flying. Fingers in the sky, rep your city, get those check hoes, get more gritty. Death row with respect for Biggie. Rolling deep, got the whole West Los with me. West Los with me, West Los with me. Every day posted out by Bevo Tipsy. Fingers in the sky, rep your city. Rolling deep, got the whole West Los with me. 40 ounces in the alley on the west side. Hot wire Hondas for a test drive to get live. Homie with the cool mom, let us get high. We trapped it out, burnt the house like Left Eye.
At my brother's house. I'm visiting because I recently went to a treatment center. I'm 13 months clean and sober, and thank you. And I went to a treatment center in Austin, Texas, and they actually flew me out to speak to the people and have a little speaking engagement to be a part of a video series, sharing my experience and strength and hope with all the fellas that are in the trenches at the moment. So, you know, it's a blessing.
It is. I'm so proud of you. And that is one of my questions that I want to kind of talk about. And I know this is a good time frame, and especially with the pandemic and people like who have overcame like yourself, that's kind of needing that inspiration. So we're going to get into that in a moment. But first of all, tell me about yourself.
Well, my name is Nick, professionally known as Lush One, born and raised on the west side of Los Angeles, California, 5700 Block Clemson. And I've been a rap artist, hip hop artist for since the late 90s. Been independent, been signed to different labels, and by the grace of God, here I am going stronger than ever. And yeah.
Hand clap snaps.
Let's go. Snap it up.
So who were your musical influences growing up, and did you always want to rap?
I was 4 years old the first time I heard Ice-T, 6 in the morning, my older brother. And I don't know if it was the rebellious nature of the lyrics and a few words I probably shouldn't have been hearing at that age mixed with the infectious bass lines, but I was intrigued and addicted. Growing up in LA at that time was crazy, you know, late 80s, early 90s. You know, you had the LA riots. It was there's the Northridge earthquake. It was the height of the gang war between the Bloods and the Crips in Los Angeles. So it was a lot of and hip hop was just a soundtrack to everything I heard outside. And you know, I've been wanting to rap forever. My biggest influences, I would say, is the golden era of hip hop, that real rugged, grimy street music. A lot of artists from the West Coast, but a lot of artists from New York as well. Highly influenced by Mobb Deep, M.O.P., Capone and Noriega, Big L, artists like that. But then, you know, a lot of West Coast artists, E40, Too Short, Snoop Dogg, Eazy-E, and definitely the South as well. You know, Outkast is a huge influence on me.
So, you know, the coolest thing is I researched you, I dove in, or I dived in, and I saw, and it's funny that you said that. It's not funny, but it's intriguing that you said Ice-T was one of your favorite rappers. And yeah. I saw an interview that you did with him. So how dope was that?
It was a surreal experience, you know what I mean? Like, and he was so cool. There's so many times where people, you meet your legends and then they break your heart, and it's disappointing. It couldn't have been further from the case with Ice. He was exactly what I have envisioned all these years. And beyond our interview on camera, being able to just chop it up with him and soak up game from an OG that I've been looking up to since I was literally 4 years old, before I even, you know, like knew up from down. It was incredible. He's such a cool dude.
That's awesome. So, and then another thing that you said, you're from East LA, but your style is something that's reminiscent to old hip hop, like Wu-Tang Clan. And developing a cadence like that from where you're from, that is huge. So, like, how did you do that? And let's talk about your newest album.
Absolutely. You know, everywhere around me was West Coast hip hop. Obviously, you know, and especially during the whole West Coast, East Coast feud, you know what I mean? Like everybody was riding with Pac and
Right.
you know, in theory, like I'm loyal to the soil, like, you know, being from West LA, like of course I'm gonna rock with them. But at the end of the day, like the music that influenced me, like I love like the depth of the lyricism and the imagery conveyed by New York artists. So it's just always highly influential. And at the end of the day, people don't realize like in LA, we love New York music. You know what I mean? It always Nas, Jay-Z, everything like that always resonated. And as much as people listen to that West Coast classic, you know, G-Funk, we love that real boom bap as well.
So what inspired your newest album?
So my new album is autobiographical. It's called HYMAS. It's my last name, and it's a name that I never really embraced because kids used to tease me about it. Used to have to run several fades as a result of my name. So I always kind of shied away from it. So I was like, what's the most vulnerable name I could name this project that's the most authentic to me? And let me like switch the energy up that's attached to this name and like give it a new perspective. So that's why I named it that. And my style of hip hop, like you said, it's a somewhat, you know, my like New York influence. I call it LA noir audio cinema because I look at my music like it's a film. It's not the type of thing that you don't watch one. I mean, you might, but most people don't watch a film just one scene at a time.
Right.
You watch the entire thing. So I make albums that are like cinematic front to back, and I just use the scope of my very unique, colorful life experience, which unfortunately has been peppered by quite a bit of dysfunction, but that makes for interesting content with the music. And, you know, like the rose finally grew from the concrete. What can I say?
Right. That's right. That's right. To God be the glory. So what is your creative process like?
So the biggest difference between my creative process between now and then is no chemical influence whatsoever. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take drugs, and that's a huge shift from everything that I would do before. Like my inspiration comes from God and comes from within, you know what I mean? Like that's it. So I rap about my life. I rap about what I've been through. I feel like a lot of hip hop music, people glorify the dope game. They glorify hustling. They glorify the streets. And I come from those same environments, but I'm offering a different perspective on those same topics because I feel like that's been done to death. And we hear people celebrating like, hey, I just came up. I just sold all these bricks. Look at me. I'm shining. Like, what about when that deal doesn't go good? Right. What about when you down? What about when, you know, there's hits on you? What about when you're under investigation? What about when you're using the drugs that you're supposed to be selling and you wind up overdosing? And these are all things that have happened to me and the topics that I tend to explore, because the last thing I want to do as an artist is be derivative. You know, B-boy rule number one, be original. So
that's right. That's right. And you're definitely original. That's why I was like, well, and I like LA, don't get me wrong. Nipsey Hussle, or, you know, just California in general, it's certain bops that I like, and there's certain ones that I'm like, nah, I can't even rock with that. But yours, I'm like, wait a minute. Now I'm conflicted. Am I hearing Wu-Tang? Like, what's good? What's good with this sound? So you definitely got a jam for real.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
What's your favorite single from the new album?
Well, the lead off single is called Mad Deep. And since, like, you know, I was saying that the album is a movie, Mad Deep is the song that'd be playing at the end credits. After we've gone through all the dysfunction, we've had the conflict, we've had the climax, and then there's the resolution. Mad Deep is kind of a glimpse at what's to come next in my life. I already went through that chapter, and now I'm kind of reflecting back on all the turmoil and looking forward.
Okay, all right.
That's what that song's touching on. It's got a more it's got the most laid back vibe. It doesn't have the same neurotic energy that some of the other tracks have.
Right. Well, and it's I've listened to what's on YouTube, of course. And like I said, you have some albums where you're like, well, that's a okay track, so I'm gonna speed past that to see what's next. So you take the time to listen to your content. And that's the thing, what I appreciate most with your album. It's still a bop, but it has content. So is that one of the things that you would like to change about music today, is the content?
You know, at the end, that's a great question, first of all. Very astute observation. You know, I don't necessarily want to change anything about music. I think that every artist can express themselves however they want. You know what I mean? Like everyone's able to do their thing. I'm not one of these, and I hate to even categorize myself, but just based on when I was born, I'm an old head. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not one of these people that's been around for a minute that critiques the youth, because at the end of the day, hip hop is youth culture. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
And who am I to be standing from this, you know, on the top of this, you know, from the sanctimonious perspective, trying to talk down on others? That ain't it. So, but I do feel like what I'm trying to do is fill the niches in the game that are missing. And I feel like this level of content, storytelling, while still being listenable, is something that the game is lacking. There's a lot of people that are hopping on the auto-tune wave, hopping on, you know what I mean, hopping on like the club bangers and not really rocking with samples, just coming up over these synths. And I feel like that that warm aesthetic that I grew up in, and with sampling from records, and just people make music nowadays for Spotify playlists.
Right.
They're doing it for streaming services. They're not trying to make albums. So would I change that about music? Well, I'll add to the landscape of music to make sure that's represented. You feel me?
Yeah, I like that. Like I said, listen to it, and I'm like, okay, when I listen to your music, I don't hear what you're saying in anybody else's song. So you're gonna, and when I listen to music, I'm like, well, that's not what such and such said. He got that from such and such album, because I'm a hip hop head, and I go and I read the lyrical breakdowns of every song that I enjoy just to see what they're saying. So that's what I appreciate about your music right there, is that I'm not going to hear what you're saying in somebody else's song. So that takes skill to do that, by the way.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you.
So you're big in the underground realm. Let's get into it when it comes to media. What's your favorite interview? I know Ice-T is your favorite artist, but what's your favorite interview
that I've done?
Mm-hmm.
Artists that I've interviewed, that's a good question. You caught me slipping low key. I've done a lot of interviews. I've been on the media side of things as well. You did your research. I give it up to you. I want to say that I really enjoyed chopping it up when I interviewed Razkaz a few years ago, and Razkaz is a huge, I feel like we're cut from the same cloth as being LA West Coast MCs with East Coast style lyricism, you know what I mean? So
right.
And it was interesting to get his perspective and some of the songs that he's written that are really controversial. It was dope to get to chop it up with him and hear his take on that, and where his mind state was at when he was creating these songs that kicked up so much dust and pissed off a lot of people, but also influenced people simultaneously. So that was really dope.
I love it. So I listened to your underground interview. Well, not underground interview. I listened to a lot of your interviews, and one of them was about sobriety. So I'd like to get into that. I've been sober 8 years, and that was
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm like the old judgmental person in the club now, like judging everybody, shoes, everything. So what was that big leap for you that made you want to change your lifestyle around?
Well, I've been struggling with addiction for pretty much my whole since my adolescence. Started getting high when I was 12 years old. Got arrested for the first time when I was 13, went away to juvie at 16. Between 16 and 19, I was at 9 different treatment centers.
Wow.
So yeah, 9 of them things. And I never had an earnest attempt at sobriety. It was any attempt at sobriety I had was either mandated by the state of California, my parents, or trying to a relationship, a woman that I was, you know what I mean? It was never on my own accord, any feeble attempt. And I never actually worked the steps or did anything like that. It was all just, so and then since I was 19, that's pretty much damn near 2 decades of uninterrupted use. And my life was a roller coaster. I was able to accomplish a lot of cool things, but everything that I've done has been kind of like not at full strength. I was never firing on all cylinders due to my drug addiction. You know what I mean? Like, and I never was able to, even like my shining moments have an asterisk next to them. And, you know, like had a lot of just like so much unnecessary drama and turmoil. And it just got to a point where I had to make a decision, like, do I want to live? Because for a long time, I was resigned to the fact, you could hear me reference it in my music all the time, like, I'm going to die young, you know what I mean? Long life, probably something that I won't have. Like, and that was my whole outlook, die young, leave a beautiful corpse. I didn't want to live. And at a certain point, I was like, something resonated in me, you know. You could call it God. I believe it was God, you know. I have no doubt about that. And really what happened was, you know, I was working on finishing up the album, and I started I was detoxing. I ran out of drugs. I was feeling awful, and my fiance and my brothers intervened on me, caught me at a weak moment, got me to agree to go to treatment. As soon as I got some more of my thing and got on again, I instantly regretted it. I was like, why did I agree to do that? But, you know, it seemed like I didn't have any other options. I was going to probably be kicked out of my girl's crib and all that. So I was like, you know what, let me just give it a chance. And I went to a 4-month program, was in sober living for 2 months. And my life has been incredible ever since then. It's the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Congratulations. I watched one of your videos. Like, you were very open about it like years ago. So to take this step to be where you are, how do you feel now?
I feel incredible, you know. It's surreal. It's a surreal experience. And the fact that here I am now, back where I got sober at, got flown out by my treatment center just to speak to these people and serve as a catalyst of inspiration. Like, it's a surreal experience. And you know, it's just, I got to take steps every single day to make sure that because here's the grim reality for you, right? It's not a matter of if I'm gonna relapse. I am finna relapse 100%, unless I do my daily disciplines, pray and meditate. You know, my gratitude journal on a daily basis. Do service work for other people, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm not doing that and staying tuned in to my experience in my past, I'm going to relapse. So I have to keep my feet moving, you know. Like they say in that good book, faith without works is dead.
Claps. So do you think this is a and it's not passion, but purpose or spiritual?
All of the above. I believe that this is definitely my purpose. Everybody goes through what they got to go through for a specific purpose, whether we're aware of it or not. And I didn't know, like, maybe I had to go through all this craziness, and I needed to go through the pitfalls of addiction and lose so much and burn my life to the ground and almost die so many times. Like, damn, I don't know what kind of cat I am, because 9 lives ain't enough for what I done did. And so for me to be able to be an example of what not to do, and the fact that if I can make it about the mud, so can you. You know what I mean? And that's kind of that's like my message summarized in one sentence, essentially.
That's right. So I don't even have to ask you to give people who's battling through this pandemic, who's like waiting on that stimulus money, because it's never enough when you're already like a year behind. So what's your words of encouragement? I said I wasn't going to ask, but I did.
I'll tell you what, you know, I'm never here to judge the next person or what they're going through. And I would never trivialize, because I'm not walking in anyone else's footsteps, so I don't know. And I know that all I can do is speak on my own experience. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very hesitant to give advice, because I feel like that can be dangerous, because we're all different. We all have different journeys. But all I know is from what I've gone through, I thought that I needed drugs and alcohol, but that's literally the thing that was inhibiting me the entire time. And my life is a far cry. I went into treatment I lied to everyone in my life, and I lied so much about it that I actually internalized a lie and said, I was saying, because I had already been washed up, my career was in a bad place, and I was telling everybody that I had a record deal and I got signed again, which was complete cap. it was just a delusional fabrication. And
Right.
now here I am over a year later, and it happened less than a year. I actually got that deal that I was capping about. And you know,
Yes.
my music is more successful than ever. Everything that I wanted from my life that I could never achieve, all I had to do was stop poisoning myself. So you know, if anyone else is going through it, just know what I will say is this: there is another way and there is another option. And you know, I'll PayPal you 200 bands. I don't even have that, but if I did, I'll PayPal you my life savings right now if your life don't get better when you stop destroying yourself, because there's no way it will.
That's right. I like where you said, because you took into account that everybody's healing is different, basically. Like, you're not here to
Absolutely.
judge, but like, you can give a certain amount of words of wisdom, but you know, every individual is different in how they receive that. So is that something that you learned while going through this transition?
1000%, you know what I mean? And I just know what it feels like being on the other side of that. And if you have somebody could be trying to kick some game to you, and then you like, man, you don't know what I'm going through. Like,
Right.
you over there living large. You've never struggled a day in your life. Who are you to tell me anything? You know what I mean? Like, and I know what it's like. As soon as people start saying what you should do or what you need to do, I shut down personally. So since I know how that feels, and I've seen that same effect on so many other people, like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? I'm not at the end of the day, like, it's because of God that I'm where I'm at, and I got clean and experienced what I did. So I can't even take any credit and act like I know anything. All I did was turn my will and my life over to God. And actually, and you know, some people might have a hard time grasping that concept. Like, okay, let's say you don't believe in God. What does that look like? Well, if you don't believe in God, do you believe in being the best version of yourself possible?
That's right.
And what are the traits that you believe, if God did exist, he would encompass that you can exhibit, you know what I mean, within yourself and embody. So that's what worked for me at the end of the day. Like, what's me being the best version of myself? And if me being loving, me being caring, me being forgiving, me being accepting, me being present and tolerant, and embodying all these traits in myself. And if I'm doing that, I'm being the best version of myself, then everything else will fall into place. And that, because it's difficult. I'm a manipulative person. So it's hard for me. Like, I can convince myself this is God's will. It's God's will for me to go hit this lick right quick.
Right.
It's God's will for me to, you know, cheat on my fiance. I would never do that. Don't get it twisted. But you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to convince ourselves of these things. So, but one thing I know is God's will, and indisputed fact is me being the best version of myself.
That's right. That's right. Because God comes from the inside, not out.
That's right. You nailed it.
So, and that's one of your testimonies. So you got this big deal. Tell us about it.
So, well, the whole situation came about. My fiance, her name is Marisa Urbano. She's an artist. She's in a group with her brother called Urbano. They do very different music from mine. It's in the lane of hip hop, but it's on the complete other side of the spectrum. They do like very accessible, dope, poppy, you know, EDM type, kind of like, you know, like Black Eyed Peas type, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Music, yeah.
Okay.
And it's lit. It's lit. And her and her brother are both incredible. And she was signed to a label called 418 Music, which had an office right next to my player partner, the big homie Rob Schwartz, over there with HYMAS, Sony Orchard, and you know, so they were always really cool. She wound up showing him my music, him being an old school hip hop head who actually signed a lot of the artists that I mentioned earlier that are my big influences. He heard my music and was like, oh, okay, this kid is nice. We could do something with this. And within a couple of weeks, I had a deal.
That's what's up. I just interviewed him tonight. So see that full circle right there?
Full circle, baby.
Full circle. Dopeness. So with that, so you have a distribution deal. So we're going to hear your music and see it on that platform, and where else?
Yep. So everywhere. That's the cool thing about HYMAS with that. So it's you know, a lot of distribution deals, they're just going to put out your music, and that's it. But Rob has done so much more for me, since like if he believes in you, he's going to push your line, and that's why I'm talking to you right now. You know, he judged me all these interviews, crazy media for the entire thing, esteemed platforms such as yourself, you know what I mean, Interrupted and all that. And you know, it's on every single outlet, all digital streaming platforms, as well as a couple other cool things coming up. And it's on the radio, it's on Roku, it's in hotels, it's in gyms. Like, he's got the jug, and he's really got behind my project and has catapulted me to a level that I've never been on. And you know, I've always had a diehard fan base that consume whatever I put out, and it's just crazy timing that my best project, it's like the stars aligning with my best project being available, and then him being the one to take all that I've already built and just shoot it through the roof. You know what I mean? Like, so.
See, that's you putting yourself in alignment with God, and God putting you in alignment with the universe. So you are right where you need to be. I love
that's
that. So what else are you working on, and do you have any cameos or collaborations that viewers need to be on the lookout for?
So I got a few projects coming out. I have a follow-up EP, which is going to be dropping in about a month's time, also on HYMAS, and that's called Horatio's Ski Resort. It's a collaboration with me and my brother Chase Moore, who's an incredible producer from Sacramento, California. He's got a great catalog of music I encourage people to check out. So we've worked extensively together. So I got that coming up. I got a project with my man Mikey D, who's my label mate, who is from the group Main Source, legendary hip hop group from back in the day. We kind of bring in different generations of lyricism together, kicking it up a notch. And we have a crazy release strategy for that. That's going to definitely shake the game up. So I got those. I got another single that's just about to drop called Press Levels. That's for the West Coast. It's talking about the modern landscape of the gang war in LA, and how just wearing certain hats and certain attire can bring attention to you that you might not necessarily want to have. So I'm kind of trying to give a friendly warning to people when they visit the city and wander outside of the Hollywood area. You know what I mean?
Well, that's scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a great, a lot of my music be like that. It's talking about things that are unpleasant, but I try to make it fun to listen to at the same time.
Right. Well, you got bops. I mean, I've listened to it. I was going down your Instagram and I was like, oh, that's a bop. That's a bop. That's a bop.
Hey.
So I know your Instagram information. So can you please tell our viewers where they can follow you, where they can download the music, YouTube, like your YouTube channel, all that?
That's a hockey stick. That's a hockey stick, cul-de-sac, Skrilla sign, H block, O-N-E pill. No, that's LushonecA is my Instagram. Cool. Please hit me up anytime. And anybody that's struggling with addiction issues, or is interested in recovery, or knows somebody that might need some help and you want to talk, my line is always open. I'm very interactive when it comes to that, and anything else. If you like the music, just want to chop game, I'm available to all. I consider my fans family. You know what I mean? Like they're the people that believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. So I got infinite love for my fans. That's how I pay the bills.
I love it. You have any speaking engagements that's virtual or anything like that?
Well, I'm a frequent guest on a show which you referenced, actually, called Ruin an Hour, which is on YouTube. If you search Ruin Your Day, Ruin an Hour, I'll be on there all the time talking about recovery. I am on another podcast called Flavor Junkie, talking about the different regions of hip hop and the cool different flavors coming out of every single specific location. And yeah, more than anything though, I'm gonna be knocking you over the head with that music, just slap from all directions.
I'ma keep all the heads fly. Fingers in the sky, rep your city, get those check hoes, get more gritty. Death row with respect for Biggie. Rolling deep, got the whole West Los with me. West Los with me, West Los with me. Every day posted out by Bev Mo Tipsy. Fingers in the sky, rep the west side. I wire HYMAS for a test drive to get live. Homie with the cool mom, let us get high. We trapped it out, burnt the house like Left Eye.